The State of Hockey on Fox Sports North is presented by Total Hockey, exclusive equipment provider of USA Hockey, and sponsored in part by Aspire Beverages. Aspire to greatness.
From suburban Osseo by way of the University of Minnesota, Trent Klatt went on to a 13-year career in the National Hockey League where he scored 143 goals. Gordie Roberts spent 8 seasons as a defenseman with the Minnesota North Stars and twice was a Stanley Cup winner in Pittsburgh. Wes Walz was an original member of the Minnesota Wild and quickly became a fan favorite for his two-way play, dedication to the game, and willingness to do the dirty work.
Today, these 3 men are coaching high school hockey in Minnesota. Walz at East Ridge, Roberts at Elk River, and Klatt at Grand Rapids. Recently, they sat down to discuss the joys and the challenges that come with teaching the game to the next generation. Part 2 of our Coaches Roundtable is in this week's Girton Spotlight.
You have the best interest of the kid in mind. The parents' vision for what that kid's athletic ability and future might be very different. When you sit across the table from them knowing that maybe 15 years from now they'll look back and say, you know what, Wes was right, and Wes was really a good guy, and I feel badly that I called him a moron in that meeting. How difficult is it to know that in a lot of cases it might not be appreciated until many, many years from now?
The feedback from the kids later in life is really what I'm looking forward to, and I mention this to all the kids that are the seniors coming through. I love you all. I want you guys to be solid citizens, and if you guys turn out to be great people, and I played a small part in that, that's very, very rewarding for me. And so it'll be interesting to see how it all unfolds with all these kids down the road.
I think we're dropping seeds, you know. It took me 34 years to learn what I did, to play in the NHL, and to think that I'm going to teach these kids that in one season, it's not going to happen. But you hope you try to cram it. You hope you can give them all this information, and you hope you can teach them. And are they going to learn it? They might not for 10 years. So I mean, I think I almost have to take a look at it as though we're dropping seeds.
How would you have coached yourself, Gordie?
Good question. You know, I had a player last year, a defenseman, Matt Kierstead was his name, that reminded me of myself a lot when I was his age. And I only heard probably for 20 years, I try and do too much all the time out there, which is a phrase that coaches use a lot. So, yeah, I think that being in the shoes of a player, I think that's important, being able to kind of put yourself back from their perspective and think a little bit, you know, what it was like to be in that age. The key word in all this is just respect. As long as he respects me, he doesn't have to like me, but respect me.
One of the big challenges for high school hockey, it seems year after year, is the debate about keeping players in the high school program. How do you try to communicate that to kids and parents, that high school hockey can be a great path to wherever they want to go?
You know, I've had players. I've got that Matt Kierstead as an example, played high school as a 10th and 11th grader, played in the Elite League. He left us this year. He's going to play in the USHL as a senior. He's already got a verbal commitment from North Dakota. But personally, I think that Jake Jaremko last year, give you another example, I mean, he started the year in the Elite League, played high school hockey, then went down to play junior at the end. Try and enjoy your high school experience as much as you can, because we all know it kind of goes like that and you can't bring it back. So I think that, you know, it's a big decision, and, you know, it's hard as a teenager to hear the word be patient, but it is a key word.
And this really gets me going. It really gets me going, because from my scout's perspective, I know both the players he's talking about. And I think Jake Jaremko made the right decision. Jake Jaremko, as a senior in high school, won Mr. Hockey, scored umpteen million goals the whole season long, did the things that he's going to do at the next level. And I don't see Matt Kierstead doing that. And I know that may sound harsh, but that's the truth. The game of hockey in Minnesota is fabulous. Everybody knows what we have here, and to leave that and not be a part of it, I'm speechless as to the reasons why.
Anytime I hear from a parent, and it's kind of borderline whether they should, you know, move up or move back, I always go back. Every situation is different. If they're a dominant player as a junior in high school, and they've done everything they can at the high school level, I can understand it. But if they're not a dominant player, I don't understand the upside of going and being a third or fourth line player of the USHL and getting ahead of the curve that way. I guess we're all on the same page that way, no doubt.
I'll throw this out to each of you in closing. What's the biggest challenge facing high school hockey coaches in Minnesota right now?
Well, I definitely have to say, from my perspective, it's losing their top players. You know, I think these outside influences, you know, trying to get these kids to leave and go play the USHL, I think that's a huge thing that high school coaches have to deal with. That, and you know, you're going to hear people say that, well, my kid's going to go play 80 games in the USHL and you're going to play 25. Well, that's part of it, but that's part of the issue.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say parents, but I do agree with you that your situation is definitely is more of a challenge for the high school coaches is to keep our kids back to play their senior year if they've not been ridiculously dominant over the year, and you know, for the most part there should only be maybe 2 or 3 kids a year, guys, would you say, that would probably be willing to move on? I mean, we're getting 12, 15, 20 guys leaving their senior year to go play you know, in Western Canada, or they're going to play in the North American Hockey League and missing out on those opportunities. So I do agree with Trent that that's probably the high school
and don't get me
challenge.
wrong, I'm not, there's no disrespect toward any USHL or Dub or anything like that. All I'm saying is, like, once high school is done, then you can go.
Then you
go.
Then
go.
Go wherever you want.
You just don't have to go during high school. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with all those things. I mean, I think that, you know, opportunity, I mean, just having kids come back and have them right to the end is kind of the perfect scenario. I think that, you know, just being a good mentor, role model, and working with kids, I think we're fortunate to be in our position. I think that, you know, just, you know, like you say, 10 years from now, how they look back, they're probably not going to remember what we told them to do on a forecheck or some of those things. There's some good life lessons. And I think my brother, who was a college coach for over 20 years, so they probably won't listen to you and really enjoy some of your good tips probably for about another 5-10 years, probably just like our teenage kids used to be now that they're in their 20s. So, you know, I think that, you know, just enjoy the journey.
That's it for this episode of The State of Hockey, presented by Total Hockey. As we come to a close, we'd encourage you once again to support the Patrick Schoonover Foundation. At Hayes Park Arena in Apple Valley, I'm Audra Martin. Thanks for joining us.